You've written a book, Grey Sunshine,
Yeah.
and I love the book.
Yeah.
It's a great read, and I'm thinking also. I think there's so much for us to learn from that book. I want to have these sessions with our teachers where we sit together
Yeah.
and read it together, because I think
Yeah.
that's very important, because there's so many questions you ask. There's so many questions I've I've asked myself, whether
Yeah.
it's just very powerful, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
If you'd
Yeah.
like to speak a bit about how that came about,
Yeah.
and then maybe a few recommendations that you'd like to give us, so that we'd like to educate ourselves a little more.
Of course. Yeah. No, I mean, look, I was meeting hundreds and thousands actually of young people, of people who are fighting for change for kids, but also of kids and families and community members. And I was always thinking, like, wow, we need to figure out how to tell these stories, because I was getting so inspired by so many of them.
Right.
And so I actually went on this journey to say, like, could we figure out how to capture some of these stories?
Right.
And early on, I actually said, let's just figure out how to follow the lives of 3 kids. And so I went and I spent a significant amount of time with 3 kids across India, right? One was from Jahangirpuri in Delhi, and one was from Luhyanagar in Pune, and one was from Govandi in Bombay, right? And I spent quite a bit of time in these communities, right? And these kids sometimes, like, in the community day and night, trying to basically just listen. And I think the process in itself was a soul-shaking experience,
Definitely, I can imagine.
because what it did was it pushed me to pause, and it pushed me just to bear witness.
Right.
Not to come up with a solution, but just to listen for many, many hours. And I think the book unfolded out of that. And so what the book does is it follows the lives of these 3 kids. And as you're basically learning about the journeys of these 3 kids, you're learning about their communities. And as you're learning about their communities, you're learning about both the truth and hope of India's communities.
Right.
And as you're doing that, you're learning about India. And you're learning about the richness of India, but you're also learning about the truth of India.
Yeah.
And the inequity that we all hear about and see, names and statistics. And then it also follows 4 people who are fighting for change across these communities.
Right.
And so it follows 4 people that all started off their journeys with Teach for India and are now fighting for change. One of them is leading a set of schools. The other one is actually leading an entire program. The other one's actually, working in high levels of the government. And the 4th is running an incredible organization that is fighting for the rights of Indians, right? And you follow the journey of these young people leading into adults who are working in partnership with them to be able to build a better India.
Yeah.
And the hope is to be able to step back and to say, wait a minute, like, when we think about India today, we see the gray of it. Right?
Yeah.
We see the fact that we have way too many kids that are not making it. We see the fact that we are staring into the depths of a country that is, beleaguered by issues of poverty and so many other things.
Yeah.
But we also see the sunshine of it. We see moments of hope, and we see examples of hope that should actually all make us hopeful about a better future.
True.
And the hope is to be able to sit with both of those simultaneously through the book. There are many incredible books that are out there for people to be able to check out, some that I've been inspired most by. There's a great book called Whatever It Takes.
Okay.
And that is actually the story of an incredible model in the US called the Harlem Children's Zone. That has built a model that surrounds kids with an ecosystem of support.
Fantastic.
There's a great book called In Search of Deeper Learning, which actually, follows 4 school models that are trying to innovate, and it builds a case for how schools need to change. There's a great book here in India called Infinite Vision, right, which actually follows the story of the Arvind Eye Care Clinic and follows a great example of actually what socioeconomic integration could look like.
Sure, right.
And so, yeah, those are 3 that I would point to.
Fantastic. That's great. That's great.